Hey everyone, I am here to go over the game plan, the ultimate game plan for how we are filling mats quickly. Okay, filling your mats quickly. And I have a little bit of a cough here, so bear with me through that. I apologize if I end up coughing in your ear. Moving forward. So, what we are doing here is, or how we arrived at this rather, is our average client last year signed up 201 new members at an average rate of 170. Okay. We looked at those who signed up more than 201 versus those that signed up less. Okay. And then we kind of looked at the ones that signed up significantly more than 201. And we realized that the key, we were looking for repeating patterns of what are they doing differently that we're doing differently for those that signed up less than 201. And really, the answer was rather easy to find. Once we looked at all of them, we isolated those doing more than 201, and we looked at what we were doing differently for them, and we scaled them up. And I will go in this video. We're going to be talking about this. So our goal is to get to this point so that we can scale. Okay, step one is to get to this point. I'll be going over that in this video. And then step two is actually scaling. What that means. I'll be covering all of that in this video. So let's dive in. I wanted you to know kind of the background of how we arrived here. What we did in the past was we didn't do this part. We got to this part where we're ready to scale. We only knew what we knew, and we intuitively were doing this, but we didn't have it isolated to where we go, okay, hey, we're ready to scale, let's go. Right? And this is how I like to use them as an example. But we have dozens of a lot of case studies of this where this happened. Gracie Martial Arts, they went from 130 to 300 members in 5 months. Well, how in the world did they do that? They scaled. We got them to a point where they're ready to scale, and then they scaled. Okay. So let's erase all and start over. Okay, so very first thing. So this is the game plan. Okay. Step one is to what we call BAM. I like BAM because it's easy to remember. This means buy a member. What we want is the cost to buy a member, the cost to BAM, to be less than how much we signed them up for. Okay. So if we spend, let's say we spend $1,000 on marketing, okay, and we get 10 new students. This is how we figure out our cost to BAM. Okay, our cost to BAM. How much we spent, total spend, divided by number of new members. Okay. That's the formula for BAM. Very easy, very simple. Okay. So in this example, 1,000 divided by 10, BAM is $100, right? So every time we spend $100 out of all the opportunities that we have, there's a new member in there. So we're spending 100 to make whatever it is you make. Our average client, I told you our average client is doing 170, so we'll just use that to make 170 a month. Okay. How many people want to spend $100 to make 170 up front? That's the key, is the upfront. If you can make this true right here, where you're profiting, if you can profit on the front end, up front, let's just call it up front. You'll hear me say both of those terms. It means the same thing. Profit up front. This is the goal. You can spend zero or more, or I'm sorry, you make zero or more, when you sign up, when you market, advertise, and sign up new members, if you can do that, you essentially spend nothing, or you can profit to sign up new members, you can repeat that process over and over and over and over. You now have a scalable model, meaning, I apologize, I'm sorry. Meaning, step 2 is scaling. Meaning, it's a question of inputs and outputs. If your strategy is to go to a community event every weekend, and you you set up a booth and you do that every single weekend, okay, and it works. The booth costs you $100 and you make $200 plus monthly recurring revenue, okay? So you're buying customers at a profit, buying members at a profit, okay? Your input is the time you spend on your weekends and the money that you spend, your time and your money, your resources that you spend on the weekends. Your output is new members, okay? X number of, whatever the number of new members is, all right? The problem with the scalability of this is that you have to do it on the weekends. So you're limited by 2 days a week. You can't have more weekends, okay? So the only way to get more inputs so that you get more outputs is to do 2 events over the weekends, right? You do one on Saturday and one on Sunday, or, right? This is an example to make my point, okay? So it's a question, scaling is a question of inputs and outputs. In advertising and marketing, digital marketing online, your inputs is money. Sometimes it's also, emails, number of emails, phone calls, some follow-up. We'll just call this, we won't call it phone calls, we'll call it follow-up, right? I can call a lead more times, right, over a given period of time. Instead of just doing 1 phone call, I could do 10 phone calls over 10 days, right? I will get more outputs probably if I do that, right? And so in advertising, for us, it's more inputs is money spent, meaning I can spend an infinite amount of money to get more outputs. I can spend X more dollars to get more outputs. I don't have to spend more time in it other than in the lead follow-up, right? Which is a part of no matter what you do. And so this is why I like advertising, is because I don't have to spend more time to get more inputs, to get more outputs. Make sense? Okay, so this is, step 2 is scaling. And scaling equals this, okay? So step 1, let's go back to this game plan. Step 1, buy new members at a profit upfront, okay? Step 2 is to scale. This is the overall game plan, all right? Let's go back to step 1. Okay. So step 1, buy new members profitably. Again, if you can do this, you can spend $1 to make $2. You can do this over and 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 over again. Okay? You have a repeatable process to bring in new students. You can turn the faucet on, you can turn it way up, you can back it off, and you will get more students from it. Okay? And it's repeatable. You can turn the faucet on, up, and down whenever you want. Okay, that's step 1. Buying new customers at a profit. Okay, so how do we do this? There's 2 ways to do this. 2 ways. You can advertise and market online. Marketing is so that includes, you know what, let's do that first. Let's do that first. So this is a lake. This is a big, beautiful lake. And this is your house. You have a house on the lake. Congratulations. Okay. You have a house. And you like to fish. If you don't like fishing, you do now for my example. This is a fishing pole with, how do I draw a fish? Fish is like that. Nice. With an eyeball and a smiley face. Okay. And there's, how to do that? Yeah. Okay, there's multiple fish in this pond. Your fish is your list, your contact list. These are your leads. Old leads, new leads, semi-old leads, 10-year ago leads. They're all on your list, okay? And so this is a lake. Your lake is your list, okay? Your job is to constantly, as a business owner, is to constantly fill this lake with fish, with contacts. Fish or contacts. We'll just call them leads. Leads or contacts. Contacts or leads, okay? It's constantly be filling your lake. Because if you pay money to put them in the lake, to get them on your list, you now don't have to pay more money to communicate with them. Okay, you can communicate with them now. In 10 years from now, you could go to the next life, and your family takes over your business. They can still communicate with those people that are on your list. Make sense? You pay to get them on the list, and you don't have to pay anymore. Maybe you pay for some text messages, or if emails cost you money, some, that cost. Very nominal amount. So free, or basically for free forever, unless they unsubscribe. Okay, that is a very, very powerful asset that can return money to you over and over and over again over a period of time. This is where the most money will come from for your business, is your list. Okay. So we fill that using Facebook, Instagram. You got Google. You got your business profile, your GBP. You got YouTube. You got, now there's TikTok and Snappy Chat, and the next thing that comes along, right? Those are ways. And then you got community events. You got all these different ways to get people onto your list. Okay. Some paid, some organic, some for free. Okay, so there's your lake. Our goal is to get people on the list. We run ads. I'm an ads guy because it's very, very scalable once we get it working. So, so we use ads to get people on our list. Okay, and then we can email, text, SMS. We can call. We can DM them. We got all sorts of different ways that we can contact them once they're on the list. That's a crappy arrow. Okay, let me take a quick drink. On the list. Okay. So we're going to use ads. Let's bring this down here. We're going to use ads. So remember, our goal is to, let me draw this differently. So we're going to run ads to the list. We got that. Okay, so now we're back at two ways. Now we're back at two ways to buy members a new member profitably. Ooh. Okay. There's two ways. Number one, you can reduce the cost to BAM. Okay. There's a lot of different ways to do that. So if we measure how many leads you have, okay, your appointments, the appointments that show, and the appointments or the people that sign up. We'll call it sign ups. Okay. If you got 30 leads, 20 of them book an appointment, 10 of them show up. I don't know. 6 of them sign up. Okay. We figure out the percentages here. This is like 66%, something like that. That's 50%. And this is that's 60%. 60%. Okay. So 66% of your leads book an appointment. To figure this out, if you're wondering, you take your front number divided by the previous number. Front number divided by the previous number tells us that 50% of our appointments show up. 6 divided by 10 is 60%. 60% of our appointments that showed up signed up. Okay. And so if we look at this and we say, let's say we spent $1,000. Okay, we spent $1,000. We signed up 6 new members. Okay. Our cost to BAM. What is our cost to BAM? Where's my phone? Real quick. Bear with me. 1,000 divided by 6 is $166. Okay, 166. Let's say we charge 150 in my little example here. Okay, so we are not BAMing profitably. We spent 166 to make 150. Okay. So we look at these stages here. Okay, and we go, okay, hey, where can we improve the most? Maybe we can improve this. Let's do show rates. Okay. Let's focus on improving our show rates. Okay. So, and you can take any one of these. Let's say, hey, I want to book more leads to appointments. Okay. Let's have better follow-up. Let's do more follow-ups. Okay. Let's, instead of calling leads 2 times, let's call them 10 times for 10 days and see what happens. Does it increase, right? I want more appointments to show up. Okay, what can we do for that? Show rates are really about relationships, right? If you ask a good friend of yours to go meet them at Lowe's in 30 minutes, and they're capable of doing so, they'll probably do it because they're your friend and you asked them, versus a complete stranger that just met you online to see an ad that you never talked to and you just texted with, and they booked an appointment via text. Where's that? The relationship isn't quite, where your best friend is. You know what I mean? So without going into this whole subject, it really comes down to relationships. So let's say you go, okay, every single appointment that schedules, we are going to have a conversation with them, every single one of them. And if we don't have a conversation with them, they don't get to come. So you do that, and it increases by 10%. Your show rate increases by 10% because you're taking X action, right? You're taking that action of talking to every single appointment. So if it increases by 10%, then you go from 60 or 50% to 60%. And so 60% of 20 is something. Let's find out. 20 times 0.6 is 12. So you get 2 more showed appointments. So you now have 12. Meaning 60% of 12 is also something. 12 times 0.6 is 7.2. So you get an additional sign up every single month from this action. Okay. So now, let's see if this worked out. So now $1,000 was spent, same amount of money spent, but you increase the number of students that sign up. Okay. Because of the actions you take before the sign up. Make sense? All right. So 1,000 divided by 7 is also something. Divided by 7, 142. 142. Now this is a thin margin line. I understand this, but I'm making a conceptual point, so follow the point with me. We are now spending $142 to make $150 up front. Okay? We are now in a place, we now have a proven model that we can repeat because we're profitable getting new members. If I made no dollars, if I made zero, I broke even. If I broke even to market, advertise, and sign up new members up on the front end so that everything after that was recurring, this works. What I'm talking about works. As long as you can break even, this works. Now we want to profit. The more you profit, the better. Okay? Because your costs are typically always going to go up over time, right? It's more expensive 10 years from now than it was today, most likely, right? And so, so this is one way to BAM. The other way, I said there's two ways. The other way, and I don't have enough room now, so I'm going to go second way. Second way is to increase how much you make upfront. Okay, so you could, if you charge, I said 150 earlier a month. If you charge 150 a month, and you go, hey, we're going to charge $299 down instead, and then $150 a month. Okay, but you go, Logan, less people are going to sign up. That's a terrible idea. I don't want less people signing up. Hold that thought. Maybe you do. So let's do some math on this. At $299 down, this is an example, by the way. Okay, I do recommend doing this though. $299 down is, people do it all day, every day. Okay, but let's say you're right. Less people sign up. Let's check the math on this. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Let's say that instead of 7 people signing up, what's 4 divided by 7? Let's say, all right. Oh no, it's 3 divided by 7. Let's say that there's a 42% decrease in signups. That would be 4 signups instead of 7. Okay. Let's do the math on this. What happens at $299 down times 4? What does that equal? It's like $1,200, just under. $299 times 4 comes out to $1,196. $1,196. So you spent $1,000 to make $1,196. Okay. Now these are small numbers. Okay. This increases with more numbers. Okay. But here's my point. You now have a scalable model. You have a scalable pricing model here because you're making more than you spend up front. Okay. What's another way we can do this? We can sell gear packages. You could sell private or semi. I don't recommend private lessons. Semi-private lessons. Okay. You could sell those on the front end so that people suck less for less time. How many parents want their kids to suck for less time? Right? If they can suck less in the beginning, I'm being wanting this to stand out because it's a really good idea for everybody to implement. if for me personally, if my daughter does something new, I like it when I don't like it when she doesn't do good. Not that she doesn't do well, but she's new, and so she feels like she's sucking. So if she can shortcut the amount of time, this is why we have coaches, right? If she can shortcut the amount of time that it takes to be decent, then heck yeah, that's a good thing for my daughter because she's going to like it quicker. We like things that we do well, right? We don't really like things that we don't do well, especially as a child. So, I say child because 100% translates to private lessons for adults. I say semi-privates, four people into a private lesson, or up to 4 people. That would be more ideal because it's more scalable. Okay. And it's the same amount of value, if not more. Okay. to the person doing to the new student. Okay, so you could give them, so instead of charging 150, or apply this to the 299 down if you want, instead of charging 150, you say, hey, you decided to welcome aboard. Love having you as a new member. You're going to do awesome. I can tell already. I do want to give you this. We typically do semi-private lessons for $100, X dollars, whatever it is, for $150, whatever your number is, right? 150 for brand new students only. We only offer this discount for brand new students as a kickstart to get you going, so that you suck for less time. I'd say it a different way. We'll charge you, it's $50 off. So just $100, but it's going to shortcut the amount of time that it takes for you to get going. And so you could very easily add $100 to your sign up a lot of times. If you have 20 new students in a month and half of them take you up onto this, right? That's $1,000 extra. So these are, and take this concept, you can keep going with this concept and just be creative with it. There's a lot of ways to increase how much you make on the front end. Okay. I just gave you 2 or 3 really good ones. Okay. So step one is to buy new members profitably upfront. Profitably upfront. Once you do this, you can now, once this is true, check, and not until then. Once this is true, you can now do step 2, which is to scale up, and I'll say intelligently. Okay? I say that because you don't want to just throw money at the wind. Not a good idea. So how do you scale? How do you scale? 2 ways to scale. Again, scaling is about inputs and outputs. Okay? Scaling is about inputs and outputs. All right? So we can throw more money. 2 ways involve throwing more money at this thing. Again, more inputs. Okay? It makes sense to spend more money because the math tells us that it makes sense to spend more money, right? So logically, we can go, okay, hey, this makes sense for me to put more money into this thing because it's producing more money on the front end, and I can repeat it over and over and over again, okay, and remain profitable. Excuse me. So increase the amount that we spend. Now, you can increase that amount on more platforms. So instead of just doing, if you're spending less than $1,000, I now recommend you do one platform until you get that working. Don't be everywhere. You're spreading yourself too thin. You need to increase your budget, which is the other way. You can spend more on a platform, or you can increase the number of platforms that you run ads on, which is also increasing your budget. Okay, or do both. This is and or. Okay, so instead of just running ads on Facebook, now you can do it on Google as well. I misspelled Google. Jeez. Google. Goggle. You get the idea. Facebook, and maybe you do some YouTube. I'm a fan of YouTube right now. It's the cheapest place to advertise right now. As far as getting views, by far. So you can increase the number of platforms. Or you can go, hey, I'm spending 1,000. I'm going to up that to 1,500. Or I'm going to up that to 2,000. Right? Depending on your risk tolerance. I would recommend $500 increments. If you're asking me, it's a good number. $500 increments is a good number. If you're confident and you have a lot of margin, if your cost to buy a member is you have a significant difference, and so you have plenty of margin there, you can give it a big bump. Give it a big bump. It's fine. If you don't have that much margin, I would do smaller increments of like $500. Okay, do 500. Make sure you're still profitable, and then once you are, you can give it more bump. You do this. Again, this is how Gracie Martial Arts went from 130 to 300 really in 5 months. Okay, and here's what they did. Their first month, and this is rough. These aren't exact numbers. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look at what the exacts are, but this is pretty darn close. Okay, first month they started with $1,000. They were running ads on Facebook, Instagram. When I say Facebook, I'm saying Facebook and Instagram. Okay, and Insta. Okay, first month they spent $1,000. I think they signed up 18 new members. Okay, meaning they spent $1,000 to sign up 18. So their BAM, 1,000 divided by 18 is something. 1,000 divided by 18, it's $55.55. 55.55. Okay. To make, I think they charge like $129 or something like that. Let's just call it $130. Okay. It was a little bit on the lower side. Let me take a quick drink. $130 a month. Okay. Are they profitable? Is step one true? Yes or no? Are they buying new members at a profit? Yes. Perfect. So now we can move to step two, which is what they did. If I remember right, so they actually did both. They increased budget and went to 3 platforms. They actually went to 2 and then they quickly went to 3. So they did both. Okay. And so, well, I just explained what they did. I think they ended their budget right around the $2,000 mark. I forget the exact number when they hit the 300, but they were right in that area. Okay. Here's my point though. They scaled intelligently. Okay. They did step one first. They made that true. They said, okay, this works. I'm getting new members profitably on the front end. Now it makes sense to me to spend more money because I want more members, and it makes sense because I'm profitable. Let's go. And that's how they signed up 170 members in 5 months. Okay. 2 steps. That's it. That's the plan. Cool. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know, and I will try to do a better job explaining this.